I'm Ava, and the day my entire life cracked open started with a single phone call. I had just turned 23, ready to start my master's program, believing my trust fund, set up by my grandpa, was waiting for me. But when I called the bank to transfer tuition, the woman hesitated. "Ma'am, your trust account shows a zero balance." Zero, as in nothing, gone. My chest tightened. "There must be a mistake," I whispered. But there wasn't. 15 years of savings, Grandpa's hard-earned money, everything meant for my future, vanished. And the bank said it had been withdrawn legally by my parents. I drove home trembling. Mom sat on the couch scrolling her phone like nothing in the world was wrong. Dad looked up from the dining table. "Why are you home? Aren't you supposed to be registering for classes?" I swallowed hard. My trust fund is empty. Someone took everything. Mom didn't even flinch. She just sighed and said, "Ava, calm down. We used it for something important." My stomach dropped. Important? That was my future. That money was mine. Dad leaned back, cold and dismissive. "You'll survive. We had more worthy expenses to cover." Worthy. They used my entire trust fund, and apparently whatever they spent it on mattered more than me. I felt my throat burn, tears pushing forward. "You had no right." Mom rolled her eyes. "Stop being dramatic. We're your parents. We can make financial decisions for you." Dad added, "And don't even think about calling your grandpa. He won't change anything." That was the moment I knew something bigger, something darker was going on, and I was going to find out the truth. I went straight to my room, shut the door, and finally let myself shake. My parents had always been controlling, but stealing my entire future? That was a new level of betrayal. My phone buzzed. Grandpa's name lit up the screen, almost like he could feel something was wrong. I wiped my eyes and answered. "Sweetheart, is everything okay?" he asked softly. I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. "Grandpa, the trust fund, it's gone." Silence. Then Grandpa repeated, sharper now. "Gone? What do you mean, gone?" I explained everything. The bank call, my parents, their coldness. His breathing changed. Slow, heavy, controlled, but full of rage. "Ava, listen to me carefully," he said. "I never gave your parents access. Never. Not for a single dollar." My heart stopped. That meant only one thing. They forged something or lied to the bank? "Grandpa, what do I do?" He exhaled deeply. "I'm coming over. Right now." His voice was steady, but underneath it, there was thunder. I looked out my window, waiting. Minutes felt like hours. When his car finally pulled into the driveway, my parents were already outside, like they somehow knew he was coming. Mom crossed her arms, annoyed. Dad stayed frozen, jaw clenched. Grandpa stepped out of his car slowly, with a look I'd never seen on his face before. A look that said, someone was about to be exposed. Grandpa didn't waste a second. He walked straight toward my parents with the confidence of someone who already knew the truth. "Where is the money?" he asked, each word sharp as a blade. My mom scoffed, actually scoffed. "Dad, calm down. Ava doesn't need a trust fund. She barely knows what to do with her life." Grandpa's eyes narrowed. That money was for her education, her future, her security. My dad stepped forward, defensive. "We used it for something more important, for someone who actually deserved it." Grandpa's head snapped toward him. "Who?" My mom answered before Dad could. "Your favorite grandchild, obviously. Noah." My brother. My stomach twisted. Noah. My older brother, the golden child, the one who got everything without asking, I whispered. You gave him my trust fund? Dad lifted his chin. He needed help with his business. Yours would have been wasted. My throat tightened. You stole my future for his failed startup? Grandpa was trembling now, not with age, but with fury. Your selfishness is unbelievable, he growled. I built that fund for Ava, not Noah, not you. My mom rolled her eyes. It's done. No point fighting over it. Grandpa stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. Oh, we're not fighting. A pause. We're correcting. He turned to me. Ava, pack a bag. You're coming with me. My heart skipped. Dad snapped, she's not going anywhere. Grandpa didn't even look at him. Watch me. Then he pulled a small folder from his coat. I brought copies of every document, including the signature card for the trust fund bank. My mom froze. Dad's face drained color. Grandpa's voice cut through the silence. And the signature on the withdrawal form isn't mine. My parents went silent, totally still. And that's when I realized this was bigger than just betrayal. This was fraud. Grandpa turned to me gently. Ava, we're going to fix this. And for the first time since the bank call, I felt hope. Grandpa gently placed a hand on my shoulder as we walked toward his car. My parents didn't follow. They stood frozen, guilty, and terrified of what came next. Once we were inside the car, Grandpa locked the doors, exhaled shakily, and looked at me. Ava, before I do anything else, I need the truth from you. I swallowed hard. The truth about what? He hesitated. How long have they treated you like this? My chest tightened. I tried to answer, but my voice cracked. A while, I whispered. They always said Noah was the priority, that I should stop expecting anything. Grandpa closed his eyes, devastated. I'm sorry you went through that alone. He straightened, voice firm again. But you're not alone anymore, and they will not get away with this. We drove straight to the bank. Grandpa walked in with purpose, like a man who'd fought too many battles to lose this one. He asked for the branch manager. Within minutes, the manager came out confused, but polite. Mr. Lawson, we already processed the withdrawal months ago. Grandpa slid the documents across the table. Then explain why this signature isn't mine. The manager froze. He studied the signature. His face slowly drained of color. This isn't your handwriting. Grandpa's voice sharpened. It's forgery, and you allowed it. The entire room went silent. The manager stuttered. We'll start an immediate internal investigation. No, Grandpa cut in. You're calling the police. My heart pounded. Things were escalating fast. The manager nodded and made the call. Within minutes, 2 officers arrived and began examining the documents. Grandpa gave his statement calmly. I gave mine with shaking hands. After reviewing everything, the officer said quietly, "We'll need to speak to your parents." My breath caught. Grandpa placed a protective arm around me. Good, let's go. And for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of going home. When we pulled into the driveway, my parents were waiting on the porch. Their expressions collapsed the moment they saw the police car roll in behind us. Mom whispered, "What did you do?" Grandpa stepped forward, stronger than ever. "No, the question is, what did you do?" And then the officer said the words that changed everything. "We need to ask you both some questions about a case of financial fraud." The officers followed my parents inside the house, and Grandpa and I sat down on the living room couch, quiet, tense, waiting. I could hear Mom pacing in the kitchen, her voice shaking. Dad kept saying, "This is a misunderstanding." over and over. The lead officer stepped forward. We need to confirm who accessed the trust fund account and how the signatures were obtained. He placed 2 sheets on the table. 1, Grandpa's real signature. 2, the forged withdrawal signature. Mom barely glanced at them before snapping, "We didn't sign anything. The bank must have made a mistake." Grandpa's eyes hardened. "Then explain why the signature looks exactly like your handwriting, Anne." I turned to Mom. Her face changed. Panic, desperation, guilt, all fighting each other. Dad stepped in front of her, as if shielding her. "We were trying to help Noah. His business was failing. He needed the money." The officer replied calmly, "You could have applied for a loan. You had no legal right to touch your daughter's fund." Dad's voice cracked. "We were desperate. Noah was drowning. We didn't think—" Grandpa cut him off sharply. "Yes, you did. You thought Ava's future was less important." Mom finally whispered, "She didn't need it. Noah needed us." My heart sunk. Years of favoritism finally spoken out loud. Grandpa squeezed my hand. Ava deserved every penny of that fund, and now she's gonna get justice. The officer asked, "Do you deny taking the money?" Dad looked down. Mom didn't speak at all. Their silence was the answer. The officers stood straighter. "Because this involves identity fraud and unauthorized access to financial assets, we are required to escalate this investigation." Mom gasped. Dad whispered, "Please don't do this." Grandpa leaned forward, calm but icy. "I won't push for charges, not yet, but you will return every dollar." The officer added, "You'll need to cooperate fully if you want to avoid criminal charges." Mom started crying. Dad rubbed his face, defeated. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt broken. This was my family, and they had chosen someone else over me again. Grandpa softly turned to me. "Ava, you don't have to stay here tonight." My eyes burned. "I don't want to," I whispered. I went upstairs to pack. Every item I put in my suitcase felt like a piece of my life being peeled away. My childhood room, my posters, my desk, all things I thought were mine. But nothing here had ever really belonged to me. When I came downstairs, my parents were sitting on the couch, both crying quietly. But they didn't apologize. They didn't even look at me. I realized then, some people feel guilt, but not regret. Grandpa lifted my bag, placed a gentle hand on my back, and said, "You're safe with me, sweetheart." And for the first time in years, I believed him. As we walked out the door, Mom whispered, "Ava, please don't hate us." I didn't turn around. I just said, "I just wanted you to love me like you loved him." And then I left. But the real storm, the part none of us saw coming, was only just beginning. Grandpa drove us straight to his house. Quiet, safe, warm. I expected to break down the moment we walked in, but instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Grandpa made tea and sat across from me at the kitchen table. "Ava, there's something else you need to know," he said gently. My stomach tightened. "More?" He nodded slowly. "I didn't create one trust fund." A pause. "I created 2. My heart stopped. 2? Grandpa slid over another envelope, thicker, heavier than the first. He opened it carefully. Inside was a document with my name in bold letters. Primary beneficiary, Ava Lawson. "This is the real one," he said. "The trust fund your parents stole from, that was the smaller account." My breath caught. Smaller? That was $60,000. Grandpa smiled sadly. "Your real trust fund is 7 times larger." I froze. "What?" He nodded. "I hid it after noticing how your parents treated you. I wanted something only you could access when the time came." Tears filled my eyes.
Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," he whispered, "I needed you to see your own strength first." He reached into the envelope again and pulled out a small silver key. "This is the key to a safety deposit box downtown. Inside is the documentation for your full inheritance, money, bonds, and the deed to my lakeside cabin." I covered my mouth with both hands. "Grandpa, why me?" He placed his hands on mine. "Because you're the only one in this family who hasn't taken advantage of me. You've shown kindness even when you were treated unfairly. You have a good heart, Ava, and I trust you with everything I built." I cried harder than I had all day, not from pain, but from relief. We sat there for a long time, just breathing. But the next morning, everything changed again. The police called Grandpa. They told him they had spoken to my brother Noah, and Noah confessed something my parents hadn't. He didn't just accept the stolen money. He asked for it. My chest tightened. "He knew it wasn't his?" "Yes," Grandpa said. "He admitted it." It felt like another knife. My own brother. Someone I looked up to. Someone I defended all my life. Grandpa sighed. The police asked, "What you want to do next?" My heart raced. "Me? Why me?" Grandpa smiled softly. "Because you're the victim, and the law lets you decide whether to press charges." I sat there silent, thinking, remembering, hurting, healing. Then I stood up, my voice steady, my decision clear. "I won't ruin their lives," I said softly, "but they will repay every penny. And I'm done being treated like I'm less than him." Grandpa's eyes shined with pride. "That's my girl." And just like that, I reclaimed my future. Not because of the money, but because I finally understood my worth, and I would never let anyone take it from me again.